Okay, how's it going, everybody? I hope you're all doing well. Okay, so in this episode, I want to try to say something about Nietzsche and Camus' view on hope. All right, so let me begin with Nietzsche's take on hope, which is in many ways pretty harsh, actually. I mean, his great character, Zarathustra, is pretty clear on this. He's made to say this. He says, "Do not believe those who speak to you of extraterrestrial hopes." And in his book, Beyond Good and Evil, Nietzsche tells us pretty much the same thing himself. There he says that he's opposed to all forms of hope that have to do with any kind of future blissfulness and justice. Now, why is he so hard on hope? Well, as he says elsewhere, it's because what hope does is it prolongs or draws out the torments of man. And actually, to get more specific, he says this in the context of a discussion about the mythological story of Pandora's box. So, if you don't know it, the myth basically goes like this. So Zeus gave Pandora and her husband a jar for their wedding present, but they were told not to open it. Pandora, however, was overly curious and wanted to know what was inside. So she lifted its lid, and when she did, all the evils of the world, like sickness and toil and sin, flew out and was released upon humanity. So, seeing what was going on, Pandora shut it as fast as she could. And she did manage to keep one last evil from getting out. And that was hope. Okay, now, Nietzsche's interpretation of this is that it's actually not a good thing that hope didn't get a chance to fly away. And that's because hope, locked up with us as it is, keeps us unrealistic and delusional. In other words, what it does is it gives us the false illusion that we're able to transcend our existence and its imminent tragedies. It keeps us believing and hoping that a better world beyond this one exists, and that's where our attention and energy should go. Actually, it's interesting. Nietzsche seems to think that Zeus had this in mind the whole time. That's to say, his plan all along was to leave us with hope so as to punish us. And when you think about it, it's actually a perfect punishment, because it's an unending one. What I mean is, as long as it's with us, people will always resort to hope. Now, this is what makes hope so malevolent and nefarious for Nietzsche. It's, as one commentator put it, it's the gift that keeps on giving. Hope always offers the temporary assuagement of pain by promising salvation in the future. In this sense, it acts as a kind of palliative, but like a palliative, it keeps us anesthetized from the human condition with all of its terrible aspects. It undermines the importance of our present and our only life. Now, for Nietzsche, this is simply not the right approach to life. We have to find a way to make life accessible as it is, and not adopt a false consciousness about it, not jump into our fantasies or practice wish fulfillment. No, actually, it's stronger than this even. For Nietzsche, we have to learn to face life heroically and joyfully, despite life's terrible or tragic constitution. We have to learn to love what there is and what we have, and stop throwing our life away by obsessing about what isn't here and what we don't have. And the only way to do this is to stop taking the last remaining evil in that box to be the greatest worldly good. As the Greek writer Kazantzakis said, we must learn to conquer the last and the greatest temptation of all, hope. Okay, now, to get to Camus, well, he had a somewhat similar view to Nietzsche, which is not surprising, by the way, considering that Nietzsche was a big influence on him. Anyway, so Camus follows Nietzsche in claiming that hope, especially religious or otherworldly hope, is the worst of all evils. For Camus, the cold fact of the matter is that human existence is absurd. There is no ultimate meaning to it, and there is no God to give it one. So, well, there is no salvation. So hope is illusory. It's a form, again, of wishful thinking. And in this sense, he thinks that it's a form of cowardice. And actually, Camus criticizes religious thinkers like Kierkegaard for not having the courage to face absurdity head on and instead taking that religious leap of faith. Better to face the human condition honestly and bravely than evade it by hoping for something outside of it, he thinks. Actually, religious hope isn't the only kind of hope that Camus criticizes. He also criticizes the hope associated with social utopias. The kind that asks us to hope for or have faith in some great cause beyond ourselves, in some great ideal state to come. And Marxism or communism is a good example here. The hope, in other words, that asks us to sacrifice the present for an uncertain future. Nope. Both religious hope and political hope are problematic for Camus because they take us away from the here and now of our lives, because they distract and prevent us from appreciating our bodies and our senses and just how beautiful life is, despite and because of its futility. Okay, so I want to mention something else here, though. So here's the thing. Camus wasn't entirely without a notion of hope. Yes, he is against all forms of hope that yearn for ultimate transcendence or for the eternal. But he's not against what we might call a finite or an earthly hope. Now, this is the kind of hope that lives between people and links them together. It's one that's characterized by human solidarity and fraternity and love. This is the kind of hope that doesn't want to escape the world, but rather it wants to respond to it. It's when we choose to believe in each other, to work together, to do the best that we can for one another, despite the ultimate absurdity of it all. And can there be a greater testament to the authenticity of our love than that? Namely, one that commits to another person, all the while under the shadow of death, where everything is quickly brought to an end. Bye for now.